Hey everyone, Ange here. Thank you so much for joining me in episode number 3 of my Kickstarter Weight Loss Summer Shred. In this episode, I'm going to be unpacking the results that I got over the last 6 weeks in our 23W Summer Challenge. First of all, if you have joined me on these short, sharp episodes, thank you so much. I've really considered what it is that women are wanting to get out of watching content such as this. And I know myself, we are busy, we tend to overcomplicate things, we try and do all the things all at once, and sometimes we're there left feeling really frustrated because we miss the mark on the most important aspects. So I'm hoping to share that across my journey, as you can see, I am definitely not perfect when it comes to training, I'm definitely not perfect when it comes to nutrition, but I am able to still get the results that I'm wanting to see over a period of time without killing myself and without just completely disrupting my lifestyle to be able to do this. I firstly also want to preface that 6 weeks really is not a huge amount of time. And so for anyone that actually did our challenge here at 23W, you know that our overarching philosophy and motto is just to be 1% better. So if you lost even just a couple of kilos in that 6 weeks, you are doing phenomenally well, okay? And you shouldn't be there thinking that over a 6-week period, you're going to see huge amounts of weight loss occurring. Because in reality, we know that getting into a weight loss zone or a deficit and certainly learning the skills that allows you to maintain and sustain that weight loss, it is about habit formation that really underpins the most important principles of what is actually going on. So if you are finishing up this 6-week challenge and you're seeing that you were consistent in the gym, that you were able to build better habits around training, better habits around nutrition and fueling, and some of those habits might also be mindset changes as well. Realizing that you don't need to do all the things all at once, or possibly even just cutting yourself a little bit of slack when slack is needed. The other important thing that I really want to stress is that for a lot of women, we have this idea of what this dream body actually is, and we have we idolize around what the way we would like to see our bodies turning up in the world. And when I talk about this dream body, it's certainly not a dream body if it is a nightmare to be able to actually maintain and sustain. And the reality of weight loss is that most people who lose excessive amounts of weight actually tend to regain that. And that's because the methods that they've chosen to lose the weight are maybe not sustainable or really do not serve them long term. So if you are coming out of this weight loss season and you experience some really great results, hey, well done, first up. And if you didn't, that's okay too. As I said before, there's lots of ways to be measuring progress outside of body composition change. Sometimes improvements in health markers, improvement in habits and routines, maybe you're more productive at work. All of those factors really do come into play. But if you are moving out of that weight loss zone, out of that deficit, it's really important to understand that you are more likely to be gaining that weight back if you are not implementing strategies of some sort of cognitive awareness of the habits that you have been implementing over the last 6 weeks. So for example, in my scenario, now that I am going to be moving myself out of a diet, I'm not going to be going hell for leather in terms of adding in excess calories and eating dessert and extra serves of bread, because I know that I'm going to be more predisposed to be gaining that weight back. So instead, the approach that I take when I'm moving myself from an energy deficit to a stage of maintenance is I'm looking to just build my calories, maybe by 100 to 200 calories per day, and do that for about a week or 2 weeks, just making sure that I'm keeping an eye on my body fat levels, keeping an eye on how I'm feeling, and making sure that my digestive tract is able to continue to be able to learn to handle more food. So the things that I would be adding, extra things that I'd be adding into my diet might be a little extra serves around serves of carbohydrates in and around dinner, and maybe a few extra calories in and around training. So they're not huge changes here, and maybe like a little bit of extra leniency here or there with following that 80-20 rule when it comes to whole unprocessed foods, and then of course some soul food, 20% of soul food or foods that just, really light you up. So I'm really making sure that I am not going to be going crazy and I'm not going to be YOLOing it with my diet. Then when it comes to training, actually the training piece really does not change a huge deal, because now in theory I should have more calories on board to be able to actually put to really good use in my training. And I am typically not the sort of person that sees big changes in my training schedules either. I'm not really a big fan of like exercising to extreme. If I'm tired, I will not train. And if my body needs an extra time to recover, again, I do not train. So I probably will end up trying to keep to my 4 sessions a week, with maybe 1, maybe 2 HIIT sessions in there, just depending on how I'm going to go. But really the foundations of my training are relatively going to go unchanged. So the moment you've been waiting for, how did I actually go across the challenge? Well, I'm pretty proud to say that I did drop body fat. It wasn't quite the 2% that I wanted. I ended up dropping 1.8%, but I'm certainly not unhappy about that. That still puts me sub 17% body fat. So according to our in-body scanner, I'm feeling leaner. I'm seeing great definition starting to come out around my midsection. My clothes are feeling better. But at the end of the day, that is completely irrelevant to me if I actually feel like dirt. So I actually feel really strong. I feel really good moving through my training sessions. My hips feel good. My back feels great, which I have had some problematic periods with my lower back. And my knee feels great. I'm back to squatting on pretty heavy weights with it. So I'm really excited by that. When it comes to muscle mass, I also did put on a little bit of muscle mass to the tune of 1.1 kilograms of muscle mass. So actually my scale weight pretty much stayed unchanged for the whole 6 weeks, which again is another reason why you really shouldn't look too much into the bathroom scales as your sole evidence of seeing changes in your body composition, because they only paint part of the picture. So what were some of the key things that I can really highlight to you that I think made the biggest difference in allowing me to shift that body weight? Well, first up, point number 1, I really tried to time my most nutrient-dense meals in and around training. So anything that was quite rich in starchy carbs, your rices, your pastas, your sweet potatoes, they really did come after training. I was making sure that I was filling up, point number 2, filling up on lots of fibrous veggies. I was trying to include fibrous veggies in and around breakfast time, as well as at lunch and at dinner. And what I tend to find is that when I'm having lots of fibrous veggies, my gut feels great. So I'm not overloading it here. I'm just talking about adding some small serves to the meal. It makes me feel fuller for longer. And then the other bonus, which I don't know whether or not it's actually a placebo or not, is that I actually feel mentally really well on dropping back some of the complex carbs and adding in more fibrous veggies. And I think that this has a lot to do with the fact that fibrous veggies really do play such a critical role in promoting gut health. And what we know is that the gut and the brain are communicating with each other all the time, and your emotional regulation is very much tied to the diversity of your gut microbiome. So I do think that I actually feel my most energized, my most, vibrant self when I'm having a plant-based diet, still with obviously proteins, because still with meat-based products, because I do eat meat, but I'm really making sure I'm filling up on lots of plant-based foods, which I think just make me feel really, really good. The other thing from a nutrition point of view, and probably one of the biggest things, is that I mostly reduced calories in the evening and reduced unnecessary nighttime snacking. So I really did cut back on the amount of sugars and extra food I was having at night, and being really mindful of snacking in that midday time slot, or like that after work time slot as well. Now, that's really not to say that I was perfect here, guys. I probably could have lost a little bit more body fat if I hadn't been a little more disciplined in the diet bucket, but I did have a lot going on. I had quite a few weekends where I was drinking alcohol, I was having like kind of party food. And so look, hey, I'm really proud of dropping that kind of weight in 6 weeks. When it comes to the training part and weight loss, I did deliberately up my intensity in my sessions. So I think that the high intensity and the sprint sessions definitely helped my body to better utilize glucose, pulling more glucose into the cell, forcing it to make sure that my metabolism was working really well. And that obviously has huge benefits when it comes to weight loss. So I wouldn't say that you need to do HIIT to see weight loss occurring. If you are fairly inactive and fairly sedentary, then just adding steps into your day is awesome. But if you're already fairly active and you're already training at a pretty hard, high intensity, then adding in some sprint training where you're really working at max can be a great way to be seeing that next step up in terms of physical performance, as well as, you know, that athletic leanness that you might be actually going for as well. When it comes to the muscle mass, wow, that really was built in the gym, and making sure that I was, number one, following a progressive program. So I was really mindful over the last 6 weeks to be tracking my weights, following my program, and adding in more weeks when it said that I needed to be adding more weeks, more weight or more reps. And really, I only ever overload by a factor of 1. So it's either the weights are going up or the reps or the sets are going up, not everything all at once. I was really diligent as well as getting to bed on time and making sure I was getting quality sleep. I've still got kids that wake me up, you know, sometimes 3-4 times throughout the night. Yeah, it's no fun. But I was a lot better over the last 6 weeks at getting myself to bed earlier, and that in tune actually helped me have a really great start to the day, because even when I wasn't necessarily going into 23W, I was up and ready to start the day at 5:30, 6 o'clock, eating breakfast by myself, thinking about my daily journal practice and all those beautiful things that go with just having a little bit of quiet time by yourself. So that was another habit that really did serve me, to be making sure that I was able to be recovering really well after sessions. And then number 3, I probably would put this down to creatine. And creatine is something that I didn't really jump on in, like, maybe I've only really been taking it for about 9 to 12 months. And the difference that it makes for me is immeasurable. I feel like I can recover. My recovery rate per session has improved. Creatine also helps you to work at higher intensities for longer. So perfect for anyone who is weightlifting. They're lifting really heavy. They need just that little bit of extra high performance fuel, which is what creatine is, on board to really push out a set and get maybe 1 or 2 extra reps in. So I feel like it really kicks in. I'm not fatiguing out during the sets as much as what I ordinarily would. I think also, like, I drink it in the morning with a glass of water. So it's sort of like a habit. So I'm hydrating as I'm having my creatine. So I think from a hydration point of view, it definitely makes me feel more alert in the morning. But then there's all these other amazing benefits of creatine, which they're just starting to unpack, which is better brain health and cognition, which, you know, for me, I've have a family history of Alzheimer's disease. So keeping my brain mentally sharp is super, super, super important to me, as well as it does show that it has benefits on bone health as well. So ladies, please don't be scared of creatine. It is there. It's your friend. If you're training, use it and reap those rewards. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on these last 3 episodes. A few key takeaway points is it's not your dream body if it's a nightmare to maintain. So please, guys, sit there and really think about what kind of body composition you're trying to achieve. Yeah, I could be a little leaner if I really wanted to be, but could I maintain it? Could I still have fish and chips with my kids? Could I still enjoy the simple pleasures of life without killing myself in the gym? I don't know, maybe not. This challenge has not been perfect for me. I've had sickness, I've had a husband in hospital, I've had parties, I've had the full gamut of things. I was still able to see some favorable changes in body composition, even though it was only 6 weeks. And I've built a whole bunch of habits that are gonna put me in a really good place for the rest of the year. Habits that I know that I'll be able to go back to and be like, Ange, go to bed on time. Ange, where's your fueling post-training? Ange, do you really need to sit down and have that block of chocolate? Are you actually hungry after you've eaten dinner? Who knows? But guys, that's it from me. I hope that you have taken away a few little gems of wisdom, and I can't wait to see you next time. Much love. And if you would like to come down to 23W, we are based in Melbourne, in Preston, please come along. And if you are looking for a coach to move you through training online, that is definitely also a service that we offer. So please do not be a stranger. Email me or the team over at 23W at hello@23w.com.au, and we can jump on a call and see how we can meet your needs. Until then, I'll chat to you next time. Bye.